Greetings and welcome once again to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel, and today I just want to talk a little bit about my upcoming book, and I hope to publish it. So basically, what I've done here is I've done a comparison. I asked ChatGPT to do a comparison between the way I'd be teaching these things and the way you're taught in the mainstream. And the two books I'm talking about are these books here, the Essential Mathematics, okay, Measure and Number, a primer for math educators, okay, and also the exercises. And they're both excellent books because they show you how to do all the exercises, how to teach your students, how to ground in your students the basic concepts of mathematics. Okay, so what does ChatGPT say when it does a comparison? So first of all, where the foundation of number is concerned, mainstream starts with numbers as given objects. Okay, in other words, they say count these apples or count these objects without even defining what number is. My approach, it derives number systematically from magnitudes and ratios, showing why numbers exist at all. I'm just going to take this camera off because it's not needed. And so it's a good approach because students understand numbers. Okay, so numbers are not just little symbols that students or little kids see it in the beginning. They actually begin to understand the concept. Very important. Then the basic operations like subtraction and addition. Okay. So in the mainstream, these are taught as rules. Stack the numbers and add them, or take them away, or whatever. And usually the methods don't even work across all types of numbers. They'll only work for ordinary whole numbers or integers, and then there has to be a lot of reteaching and a lot of layered instruction later on, which is totally unnecessary because, as you'll see, my approach doesn't do that. So what I do is I teach these things as composition and decomposition of magnitudes that are rooted in measure and not arbitrary rules. Okay, so you will see actual methods in order how to do these things. The same thing with division and multiplication. For example, division is not a repeated subtraction, and multiplication is not repeated addition. Okay. Furthermore, my approach shows why something like a reciprocal quotient of ratios preserves the meaning of multiplication. Okay, and this avoids the confusion of why multiplication works for fractions. There are no rationals. That's just ChatGPT's idea. So fractions, by the way, are introduced as pieces of a whole in mainstream, and they're often just memorized mechanically. That's bad because fractions are just numbers, okay? Fractions, all numbers are fractions, and all fractions are numbers. So my approach says that the numbers realized from ratios, okay? And their arithmetic operations follow naturally from a geometric basis. And I show that too in my book. So for example, long before you get to the actual arithmetic, I'm going to show you how to do all the operations without numbers. Okay? So already by chapter 3 and chapter 4, you have all the arithmetic operations fully understood even before you touch the first number, like 1, 2, half, 3/4, etc. It's brilliant because basically I'm a genius and I do know better than you, and it's just a fact. Okay, so let's continue. Now, the next thing is that as far as properties are concerned, the mainstream teaches these as laws to be memorized. But in my approach, you'll see that these arise naturally as properties of ratio operations. Okay, they're not imposed rules or laws. There are no rules or laws in mathematics. That's just utter drivel. Then the concept of proportion and rates. In the mainstream, these are often introduced much, much later, and they're totally disconnected from arithmetic. But every bloody number you know is a proportion and a rate as well. Now, in my approach, which is introduced early as a direct outgrowth of ratios, forms a bridge between geometry and arithmetic. Okay, so I call my arithmetic without numbers, I call it geoarithmetic, and it is 100% precise. Okay, there are no errors. That means you can take a ratio which is represented by phi and multiply it by the square root 2, and you can get an exact result. You cannot do that in algebra or arithmetic. What about the teacher's role? In mainstream, teachers just pass down rules and procedures. They don't know what they're doing. They don't even understand the rules and procedures, and they don't care. In my approach, teachers will guide students to discover all these facts and structures from simple exercises with magnitudes, ensuring real understanding and depth. So it's not just superficial garbage like you find in the mainstream. And the bottom line is this, that in the mainstream, all you have really is just assumption, belief, memorization of rules. In my approach, you have derivation from scratch and understanding through ratios and measure. In other words, I teach you exactly the way you are supposed to realize these concepts. There's no confusion. There's no problem understanding why you do this, why you can't do that, blah, 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 and all the other drivel that you'll find in mainstream math instruction. If you're not already a subscriber, become a subscriber. I'll let you have access to this GPT GPT assessment. It's not totally correct, but it'll give you an idea. After all, ChatGPT is just basically a probabilistic tool, so it's not going to give you everything you need from scratch and correct, but it's a good try. So I'll let you have that. Please subscribe. I get to earn a little bit more money when you subscribe, and also look out for my book. If I'm not able to publish it in hardcover, I'll probably end up trying to create a website where you can pay to read the material online without being able to print it or copy it or download it in any way. But that could take a substantial amount of time. I don't know how long it'll take. So it would be really good if I can publish it. That way you can get yourself a copy and learn all the foundations, the proper foundations of mathematics. I'm John Gabriel. This is a new calculus channel.